Joining me right now is Georgia Senator, member of the Budget, Banking, and Armed Services and Agricultural Committees, David Perdue. Senator, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. So I guess they have nowhere to go. I mean, we all, certainly on this program, expected no collusion. It was a ridiculous narrative and a lie for the last 2 years. But now the Democrats got it officially from the AG, but they want more. They're still fighting him.
Well, no collusion, no obstruction, no kidding. That's what you've been saying. That's what the president's been saying for 2 years. But let's be very clear. This is the false narrative that the left has been perpetrating for 2 years. They don't want to legislate now. They're going to investigate, and that's what we see as their path. And I just think that's not what the American people want right now. It's time to move on.
Yeah, and now there are questions about how high up the chain this really went in terms of the Obama administration. Even the president is not ruling out the involvement from the Obama administration, given the fact that we know from the Lisa Page testimony that the FBI got the word from the DOJ, lay off Hillary Clinton, don't even go there in terms of charges. Listen to what the president said yesterday.
Do you think you reached the west wing of the Obama White House?
I don't want to say that, but I think you know the answer.
What do you think, Senator?
Well, let's be very clear. This is historic obstructionism. They said it when President Trump got elected. It's well funded, and now it's across all 50 states. They do not want this president to succeed. And they're implementing these obstructionist tactics in the Senate right now to block nomination, confirmations, no legislation going on in the House. I mean, this is exactly what the American people do not want right now. And the rest of the world is looking and anticipating us doing some things that we need to do. In the middle of all that, you have this distraction and the obstructionism that's been going on for the last 2 years.
Yeah. So do you think that's going to hurt them in the 2020 election? Because, you know, at this point, you see all of these people that have been spewing out these lies for the last 2 years. Even John Brennan, who's been calling the president treasonous, saying that he's got all this evidence and he's, you know, with his former CIA title and his resume. I mean, people believed him, which was so crazy, but even he's walking it back. So are people now going to say, you know what, the media, the CNNs of the world have been lying to me. I'm not going to go there anymore because obviously there's no truth telling here. And is it going to hurt the Democrats going into the election?
Look, this is a representative democracy, Maria. You know this. You talk about it all the time. The American people are not stupid. They know they've been lied to in this case. They know they've been lied to in other instances with regard to what the left is implying about President Trump. Look, this agenda is working, and the left wants to do anything they can not to talk about it. They had 8 years of the worst economic performance in U.S. history. You talk about it all the time on your show.
Right.
Now we've proven that what we believe in actually works. We pull back on regulation, energy, taxes, and even Dodd-Frank partially. And look what's happening to the economy. So I think this is nothing but a perpetrated obstructionist strategy to block anything President Trump wants to do to turn this country around.
Yeah. Meanwhile, anybody who, you know, is on the left who talks about the Green New Deal, they say, oh, this is just a framework. I mean, Richard Fowler earlier in the program said this is just a framework. But the bottom line is this is actual legislation. Right? I mean, she came up, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, with this bill that has 90 co-sponsors in the House and 12 in the Senate. Republicans obviously decided to give it a shot yesterday. The Green Deal failed the Senate test vote. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slammed Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, claiming he tried to rush the vote without a hearing. Can you take us behind the curtain here and tell us what went on yesterday?
Well, again, this is another manifestation of the obstructionism I'm talking about. We had United States senators, Democratic senators, on the terrazzo outside the Capitol screaming with crowds about bring on the Green New Deal, and then they walked in and wouldn't even give it a positive vote. I call that hypocrisy, Maria, and that's what we're seeing in the United States Senate right now. Look, this is so absurd. I never believed in my lifetime we'd be sitting here talking about the types of things that are included in the Green New Deal or in the modern monetary theory that they're now espousing to pay for this silly thing.
Well, that's
so this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the Wall Street Journal op-ed this morning, I thought, you know, really said it well when they said basically it's giving Democrats the chance to show off courage of climate change convictions without being accountable to having got to pay for any of this without being accountable of the fact that this is going to cost $94 trillion. And that's not funny. I mean, that's like a real number, which Doug Holt-Aiken's group came up with, $94 trillion. So what do you make of all of these socialist policies, Senator? You got the Green New Deal here. You got 70% tax rates from AOC here. You got Elizabeth Warren and her wealth tax, Bernie Sanders and his Medicare for All, which wipes out the private insurance industry.
Maria, it's a false narrative again because they can't stand on their policies. Their policies of big top-down government spending on all these programs that have been proven to fail, they don't want to talk about that. So what they're now talking about is espousing things that people want to hear: free education, free health care.
That's right.
Here's the reality. We only collect $2.2 trillion in all federal income tax a day, and they want us to spend $9 trillion behind the Green New Deal per year. That's just absurd. And what we've got to do is be very sober about what's happening right now. This is a threat to our republic, Maria, and we've got to fight this every day right now in this election. I hope they continue to endorse the Green New Deal. All these presidential candidates on the left are doing that, and I think it's going to cause their downfall in 2020.
Well, they're endorsing it, but why did they vote present yesterday? What was that about?
Hypocrisy, total hypocrisy. Yeah. They left an outside meeting outside the Capitol screaming for the Green New Deal, walked right in, and because I think Democratic leadership said we're all going to vote present, did not give it a positive vote. So where's the conviction for their Green New Deal that they go out and raise money off of and politic behind? This is hypocrisy at a maximum level, Maria.
Yeah, and, and even Nancy Pelosi, I mean, not yesterday, but, as soon as we got the news, the official word from the AG and the Mueller report that obviously there was no collusion, no kidding. But she even said, look, we want to get back to legislating, right? Will they really do that? Because I don't see a lot of that. You're still hearing the Adam Schiffs of the world talking about evidence of collusion, which I don't know. Did he show you that more than circumstantial evidence? Because he hasn't shown the AG, and certainly the AG hasn't found it, Senator.
No, and it won't be there. I mean, this is all about distracting the American public.
Right.
What's the shiny object of the day? The left media picks up on it. They'll be talking about this for the next 2 years.
Exactly.
President Trump will win a re-election.
And real quick, I know you're championing this bipartisan disaster relief package. The Senate voted 90-10 yesterday to begin the debate on the bill. You're aiming to help communities devastated by Hurricane Michael. Anything you want to share on that score?
Well, I encourage all of our Republican brethren. I mean, 10 of us voted against this, and I get that. It's about spending, but this is a standalone disaster relief package, Maria. We've got to help farmers around the Southeast and the fire victims in California. Yeah,
but is there any common ground on attacking the debt at some point, Senator? I mean, the spending out of control numbers have everybody talking about $22 trillion in debt and trillion-dollar deficits.
Maria, thank you. You do this every time, and I love it. You get me on the show and give us a little more time. We'll talk about that in detail. But here's the problem. Discretionary spending, which is about 25% of what we spend as a federal government, is actually pretty moderated right now. That's not our total problem. The real problem is on the mandatory side.
Yeah.
And we're not even addressing how do we save Social Security and Medicare that actually the trust funds go to zero in 8 and 12 years, respectively.
Yeah,
so we've got to get after that.
What do I do every time, by the way, Senator? I bring up debt?
Yeah, you talk about it when I come on. You really talk about it. Listen, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Good to see you, Maria.
All right, David Perdue there.